Hello Internet, I'm Alleycat, and today we'll be making food from Animal Crossing New Horizons, a game I paid $60 for and played for an hour 2 years ago. Today we're making maple brown sugar cupcakes and gnocchi, so grab your maple syrup and let's make some muffins to forget about our crippling debt to a rodent. In a stand mixer, throw in your brown sugar and butter that I forgot to film, measurements and description. Once that's fluffy, throw in some vanilla and an egg cracked with one hand of course, and let mix to combine. In a separate bowl, measure out your flour, baking powder, and baking soda. Mix those up and pour into the stand mixer while it's running in about 3 parts. Or 2 if you take shortcuts like me, I'm lazy. Do the same thing with your milk, and now we've got our batter. Throw your muffin liners into the muffin tin, ignoring how I can't pull one out, and begin portioning your batter, about 1.5 tablespoons per muffin wrapper. I also sprayed my spoon down so nothing sticks. You just want to make sure everything's level and situated in the pan. Into a preheated 350-degree oven that goes for about 20 minutes. How'd she know I'm making these at 1 AM? Anyway, out of the oven these come to cool and we're gonna make the frosting. Using the stand mixer again, toss in a pack of cream cheese that for some reason takes forever to open and about half of your powdered sugar. Mix until combined, slowly incorporating the rest in a little at a time. You're looking for a frosting consistency, but if it doesn't re-stir, don't worry, it'll be fine either way. Toss in some salt and some vanilla, and finally the maple syrup. You're gonna want to get the good stuff, no sugar syrup substitute, just straight maple syrup. Let that mix, scrape down the sides, and that's done. Mine was a little runnier than it should have been, but you can just add more sugar to get the consistency you want. I just ran out. Plate up your muffins and it's time to frost. Don't try to spoon the frosting on like I did because it looks kind of gross and nasty like I found out. You'd want to pipe it on if the consistency is correct, or just dip them in the frosting like I did. They'll turn out well either way. Repeat the process for all the muffins, kind of like how I repeatedly time traveled for all my stuff because I'm lazy. I paid the $60, I can do whatever I want with the game. Sprinkle on some pumpkin pie spice or cinnamon because I thought it looked cool, and dig in. These turned out very good and were practically eaten in a day by the people in my house. And the people outside my house. A hit tweet, one might say. But now for the main course. It's time to make the gnocchi. Get out your cutting board with the weakest flip you've ever seen and get a few potatoes. Peel and chop, and into a boiling pot they go. Chop them up into rough pieces so they can boil faster and it doesn't take an hour. Chop up some onions and garlic and harvest some thyme from your thyme plant named Damo and set those aside. Ignore the paper towel. You know your potatoes are done once the knife goes in with no resistance? Yeah, when the knife goes in with no resistance. Take them out into a bowl and preferably use a potato ricer, but I actually just don't have one, so I'm just going to use a fork to mash mine up. Make sure there's no big chunks left. Toss in some flour, your thyme, and an egg too, just imagine I didn't forget it, and bring it all together with your hands, and knead until well combined. You just want to knead it to the point where it stays together but it's still very soft. Just add more flour as necessary and chop into manageable pieces. Roll it all out till it's a long log from which you'll cut your individual gnocchi. Just make sure they're cut into equal pieces, but it honestly doesn't matter as long as you cook it thoroughly. Don't tell Italian people I said that though. Actually, don't even tell them that I'm making this video. I'm trying to keep the peace. You can use a gnocchi board for these, or again, if you don't have one, just use a fork. Push the piece of dough into the prongs and roll it back onto itself to create a nice little gnocchi with grooves. Make sure to keep your fork and gnocchi floured so it doesn't stick, and repeat for the rest. On a stovetop, boil some water, and in a separate pan, throw in some olive oil and red pepper flake. This part of the recipe is kind of freeform, don't tell the Italians, and it's pretty lenient, so you can kind of just throw in whatever you think will taste good. But when my garlic is frying, I'm going to toss in the gnocchi into the water and let boil for about 5 minutes. Toss your onion into the pan, and I'm also just going to add some cherry tomatoes for some color and flavor. Don't forget the salt and pepper, and throw in your gnocchi. This is a pretty simple dish. Give those a flip together and make sure to reserve some pasta water for the sauce, which will simply just be cheese and oil and sauce. For this gnocchi, Parmigiano and Romano are probably the best cheese choices. Grate those in, throw in a splash of the pasta water, and toss it all to combine. It's time to plate up. Throw in a little extra cheese on top, and it's time to dig in. Handmade pasta will always be good, and please ignore how fast I just snatched up that plate. That's kinda embarrassing. Not as embarrassing as evicting my villagers for being ugly though. Couldn't possibly be me.